Hi guys. Many years ago I came across the idea of simplifying your life, and it sent me on a real journey, a real life journey that has completely transformed my life for the better. I've gone from, being the person who would want to seek attention by wearing kind of flashy things and things that meant that I was seeking the approval from other people, to being somebody who today I dress very simply, I wear a very simple watch, and I'm more focused on understanding who I am and how I can move forward in my life. That journey has not only transformed my life internally, but it's also made my financial life a lot richer. So today I'm going to share with you just some general tips that will, in a way, kind of tell you a bit more about who I am and the things that I prioritize in my life and the things that are really working. So I'm going to share with you top tips to help you simplify your life and live minimally. Okay, so these are ideas that I hope that you can take away today and begin to apply to your life to make it a lot simpler, because believe me, simplifying your life adds so much more because you are going on that journey with a great deal of intention. My name is Ken of the Humble Penny and Financial Joy Academy. What we do on this channel is give you the tips, the insights, and the practical hacks to help you work towards a dream life of financial independence and money joy. Simplifying your life plays a huge role on the journey to financial independence. Choosing a simpler lifestyle is one of the most difficult things that a lot of people can do. And most of us out there choose to live our lives driven by what other people think about us. And what that ends up doing is that if you really inspect your life today, the chances are there are elements of it that are being driven by what other people might say or what other people might think. So this journey of financial independence has a lot to do with becoming highly self-aware. And by becoming highly self-aware, you become emotionally intelligent. That emotional intelligence is what then drives all the other aspects of your life. The decision, for example, to choose simple living, because that will make you a happier person, as well as helping your financial life. So today I'm really going to dive in and just tell you practically what I'm doing in my life with my wife and my kids, and how that's really helping us live much better lives. The first tip I'm going to give you guys is to organize and declutter your life. Now, this is one that has been a bit of a journey for us as a family. In fact, we still have elements of our lives today that still need a great deal of decluttering. But we enjoy the process of doing it. And for us, it's really about asking yourself, what is important to you in all the stuff you've got? This room in particular is a really good example. If you had seen what this room looked like, in fact, we shared some images on Instagram. Feel free to check out our Instagram profile to kind of see the before and after videos of what this room looked like. This room was filled with stuff, just stuff that we've been collecting and what have you. And going on the journey of decluttering this room for me has been quite revealing, because this space feels really peaceful now. It feels like a place I want to come into. It feels very light and airy, and everything in this room, from the choice of books that I'm reading to having just one photo of me and my wife and one with my kids, choosing to have simple things around me, has been a process. It's really helped me just organize myself internally, and it means that I'm applying this principle across other areas of my life as well. And I find that choosing to organize and declutter just helps the way you think as well. So the fact that in our home, for example, I love all our books being kind of kept neatly and organized, because it just means that I can come into, say, our dining room, and I can pick out a book and sit down in a nice comfy area meant for reading, and I can sit down there and actually read a book and feel like life is going well. The thing I hate the most is kind of coming home, and this is very difficult with children, and the whole place is a bomb site. So a big part of what we're trying to do at the moment is teach our children the importance of organization. So kind of before you move on to doing one thing, make sure you've got the place you were into the state it was in before, or even better. So this has been quite challenging, but the kids are starting to take notice of this and starting to build it into their own lives as well. So I've found that organizing and decluttering, only requires you diarising it, choosing, for example, today's a Sunday when I'm making this film, that we will spend an hour as a family to declutter. So if this is something that's appealing to you potentially, I'd say just find 1 hour in the day and just focus on one room and say to yourselves, we're going to focus, say for example, in the bedroom, and we're going to focus on trying to get that room to look how we would love it to look. And I promise you, it will make you a lot happier for doing so. Next is to only buy what you need, okay? Now, I know this one's slightly controversial in a world where we can pick up our phones and easily purchase things on Amazon and they'll come the same day or the next day. I'm fully aware of it. But the tip here really, I'd say, is if there's something you really want, try and write it down on a piece of paper or something and leave it there for about 2 or 3 days. And just let that ponder, because what that does is it just forces you to really consider whether that thing you want is really a need or a want. It makes you kind of crystallize that decision. And in many cases, you find that you don't really need that thing. It's not something that you need in your life. It's not really an essential. But if it's something after 3 days that you still really, really want, then there might be a case for purchasing it, okay? So this helps you, gives you a framework, a very simple framework for helping you decide what the priority is when it comes to purchasing things. So you're not always automatically purchasing things, which is what the technology of today is designed to do. It just makes us do things instantly, but you're giving yourself some time to consider your purchases before you go ahead and do them. The next tip is to do things now, okay? Now, there's a very common kind of way in which a lot of us do our lives, which is whenever we know we need to do something, we kind of keep pushing this thing out and doing it later. We say, oh, I'll do it later. And this is a form of procrastination. So the thing that's really worked for me, and it continues to work magically, is that I choose to do things now, okay? So if an email arrives, I choose to respond to it now, okay? If I need to pay a bill, I just go ahead and do it now. If there's a phone call that I've missed that's important, I just choose to make that phone call now, okay? What I found is that doing things now not only makes you come across pretty well in that, you're seen to be somebody who is pretty effective and efficient, or whatever, but it also helps you just get things off your list, because what tends to happen is that things just pile up if you just defer them to later on and to later on and later on, and before you know it, you feel overwhelmed and you just cannot seem to find the time to get things done. So a pro tip here is the 1 minute rule, which I'd highly recommend. And the rule is this: if there's something you can do within 1 minute, go ahead and do it immediately. So one of the best 1 minute rules I've got, and I love this, is the rule in our home of sweeping the kitchen floor before I go to bed, okay? This for me is always magical, because in fact, one of the best feelings I get at home is when my wife Mary walks into the kitchen and just goes, wow, right? Because I've spent either a minute or a couple of minutes just quickly sweeping the floor and putting things away and washing some dishes, and they've come unexpectedly to her. And so I found that those 1 minute slots can be quite magical, if helped me certainly. You can apply the same process to your own life. If there's something you can do within 1 minute, if it means washing a dish, loading a dishwasher, writing the plan for tomorrow, or writing 3 things you want to achieve the next morning, stuff like that really, really helps. It's a really effective way to use 1 minute and do things now. The next point, particularly on simplifying my life, is that I use calendar blocking. Now, I'll give you a really practical example of this. Yesterday, which was a Saturday, I felt that I achieved so much in the day. And the reason for that is because on the Friday, I'd spent about 15 minutes or so organising what I expected to happen at the weekend. And I'd scheduled everything from what time I slept, to what time I'd wake up, what time the alarm would go off, to what I'd do in the morning routine. I had some plannings, things to plan. For example, I had to plan this video, what time I'd record the video. And then I knew, for example, that I had to take my kids to music school. And so many things happened yesterday, and I felt really like I'd achieved a lot. For example, I spent 5 hours with my kids at music school and still managed to come home, still planned and recorded an entire YouTube video, still helped out in our home with cooking, still helped out with my kids and spent time with them. And I did a few errands as well as I made a phone call with my tech person in the US. So many things happened yesterday because I prioritized my life using calendar blocking. And the key with calendar blocking is that I started off by putting in the calendar what was most important to my life. And for me, that was a combination of sleep, spending time with my kids, and spending time with my wife. And then around that, I then scheduled in other things such as making YouTube videos, making calls, cooking, and stuff like that. But it meant that as soon as I woke up, I knew exactly what I was trying to achieve for the day. And it meant that I just turned my phone off and I just focused solely on doing that. And that meant that my productivity for the day was just off the charts because I'd just gotten so much done, okay? If you've not seen our video on calendar blocking recently, I'll put a link below and above for you to check it out and begin applying those principles to your life. And I guarantee you, you'll feel your life is so much more simplified and you will not feel overwhelmed. The next idea is to use lists and mind maps, okay? So these are two different systems that you can use. I tend to use mind maps more, but once in a while I make lists on my phone. So I've got lists for all kinds of things. So for example, I've got lists of YouTube video ideas I need to make. I've got lists of ideas for our business, things that I need to get done. And then times when I need to kind of create things and I need to kind of go deep into my mind, I use mind maps because they just help me build layers in terms of my thought process. It's not, mind maps help you move beyond just one dimension, but help you just go deeper into what you're thinking, and but driven by a particular subject area. So I'd highly recommend using lists and mind maps. Lists help you prioritize what you want to get done. Okay, so you're putting some intention into the things that go into your lists. And then mind maps help you go a layer deeper and build on your creativity. In fact, mind maps are actually very good for your brain. If you're interested in mind maps, I'll put a link below to an article and above on why mind maps will help you with all sorts of things such as concentration, creativity, and so on. Feel free to check out that article that I wrote because it will really help you understand this tool and how you can use it for your own life. In terms of lists, I use all kinds of things. You've seen some of my videos, in fact, that I make on the other side of this room, where I write on a board and stuff like that. So whiteboards are pretty cool. We've got one in our kitchen, for example, where we write our menu items and do meal planning and stuff like that. And we also write things such as things that our kids are doing and stuff. I'd highly recommend the Notes app on your phone as well. But where possible, try to use physical things if you can, because the act of actually writing them physically just does something really quite nice to your brain, really just helps you remember that this is something you're going to be working on. And the beauty about lists and mind maps is that once you've then done those things and prioritized them, they just help you push things away so you know exactly what you're doing, what you're focusing on, what you're working on, and it just helps to make your life that much more simple. The next tip is that it's actually okay to say no, okay? It's very important in our lives to know when to say no and when to say yes. I'm a sort of person who loves to explore new ideas, and I'm quite good at saying yes to things, but more lately I've become very good at saying no to a lot of things. Primarily because the systems in my life are helping me do that. So for example, I mentioned previously calendar blocking. So a very effective way of saying no is to look at my calendar and go, okay, these are the things I've got going on and these are the things I've prioritized. Although I might have some spaces, I will only say yes if something's really important and I feel that it will enrich my life in some way. So I'd say yes to it. Otherwise, I'd just say no because look, I've kind of planned the week and these are the things I'm working on. And that just helps me remain pretty effective, okay? So saying yes all the time is never a good idea. Saying no once in a while just helps you kind of take control of your life a fair bit more and helps you move forward. And it also means that people get used to you saying no because you're not easily available all the time. And that's a good thing. Bizarrely, but that's actually a good thing. In addition to saying no, I'd highly recommend prioritizing what pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So when you've said no and you've now got the time, spend that time on things that really challenge you and push you outside of your comfort zone, and focus on doing the things that feel right in your life and the things that make you feel like you're living your life by your own design, by your own personal intention. The next is to prioritize positive relationships. If you think about life and a lot of life, you realize that doing life well means doing life well with other people, okay? If you currently don't have in your plans the ideas to spend time with other people, to get to build relationships, then you probably feel that a lot is missing in your life. Okay, so a good way that I think about this is I consider my friendships in my own private space, and I ask myself, what do I want out of this friendship? And usually it's love, laughter, ideas, advice, comfort, stuff like that, okay? The next question that follows that is, how can I give those things? Do you see my point here? So it's not just about what you can get out of a relationship. For a relationship to be positive, in order for it to nourish your life and fulfill your life, you have to be prepared to first give those things to your people, to your friends, okay? So if you want love out of a relationship, you've got to give love. If you want time from other people, you've got to give time. That's kind of how it works. So I found that this has helped me feel that I live a much more fulfilling life, and it's really just helped me simplify my relationships and who I'm prioritizing spending my time with. The next point is to design your living space, okay? This one I found really interesting in my life. Very simple things such as, having a plant pot, a single plant pot somewhere, for example, or having a single picture frame somewhere, or deciding the orientation of the furniture in your home. All these things just help you create a living space that's welcoming to you, that doesn't feel like, you've just got stuff collected everywhere, but you've been very, very direct and very intentional about how you arrange your living space and how that makes you feel. I find that whenever I walk into my study, for example, in the house, I feel very good about myself because in that room, it's exactly how I want it. Our computer's right here, there's one plant right there. We've got two small single armchairs where I sit down and I have a tea with Mary, and Mary sits on the other side, and we can just have a chat. And that room's been designed intentionally for us to have a space where we can both sit down and just talk. And then if we want to work, we can just move on to the computer screen and discuss and work on some ideas. So that same idea can be applied around your home. So it could be your living room, your dining room if you have one, or your bedrooms or wherever. The key is to design it according to how you want it to look. Just sit down, for example, and ask yourself, what does my living room look like at a minute? And if I could redesign this, how would I want it to look like? What's so interesting about this idea is that the same idea applies to your financial life. Sit down and ask yourself, what does my financial life look like at a minute? And if I could redesign it, if I could draw it on a plain sheet of paper or on a board, how would that life look? How would I draw that life? What does it look like in picture form? Because that process just of design helps you work towards this concept of life design that I really enjoy in applying to my own life. Every single day is part of a life design adventure. And so we are always working towards creating the life we want because we know that we can create the life we want. And knowing you can create the life you want comes through a process of self-awareness, which I mentioned before, okay? So take that step today and explore doing it in your living space and possibly start to expand that and apply to other areas of your life as well. The next one I'd like to mention here is to reuse things, okay? So reusing things is a really handy way of actually saving money, but also a creative way to use what you've got already, which is a really critical concept, what you've got in your hands already for other use, okay? So a really good example of this is we've got a bed in our home that has these two things that kind of come out on the side of them. So almost like part of the headrest, things that come out. You can put lights on them, you can put candles, whatever you've got to put on them. And when we were going through the process of kind of decluttering our bedroom at the time, we got rid of one of them, and Mary had an idea of saying, well, actually, why don't we keep one and use it as a bookshelf in our son's bedroom, okay? So that became the initial bookshelf that he had, because we were essentially reusing what we had already, which is actually a really good concept. So you can either reuse the current thing you've got in its current form, or you can look to refurbish that thing and turn it into something else. You know, you might have, I don't know, bottles that might become vases, you know, whatever. I'm just making these examples up. But the key idea there is, you know, you can either take stuff and get rid of them, or if it can save you money to use it as something else in a different form, try and reuse it. What I love about that idea particularly is that it encourages creativity. So my kids, and bless them, they go through a process at home where, say we bought something and he had a box that came with it. They would want to take that box and turn it into something. They might turn it into a rocket ship or into whatever. So I'm loving this idea in our home at the minute, seeing the levels of creativity, people wanting to use things in a different way. And the bigger concept there, as I mentioned before, is this idea of using what you have in your hand. So beyond getting rid of stuff, you can use some of the stuff that you have already to create things, so long as they add value to your life. That's the key thing. If it's not adding any value, then get rid of it. Otherwise, reuse it. Okay, the final one to add here is a bit of a wild card, but it's to make forgiveness a lifestyle in your life. This applies to simplifying your life. I find that if you choose not to forgive people, if someone's done something wrong to you and you just keep gathering lots and lots of grudges from people, you find that your life becomes really complicated. What I do in my life is to choose to move forward every day without holding any grudges. I just choose to just say, right, I've forgiven that person and I've let it go. That just makes me a lot happier, makes me look forward to life a lot more, and makes me enjoy life a lot more. So make forgiveness a lifestyle. You find that it simplifies your life and you find life a lot more fun and enjoyable. So guys, I'd love to end this video by saying we are living in an ever complicated world. You know, one that demands our attention in lots and lots of different ways, okay? Taking the steps to simplify your life will not only help you financially, but it will make you a lot richer internally, because you would know who you are, you know what you prioritize, you do life intentionally, and you just enjoy and have fun. You know, you find life to be a lot happier. So take the steps today, apply some of these ideas. Even if you picked one or two of them to apply to your life today, I promise it will make a big change to your life. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below what tips you've got for our community for how people can simplify their lives. You know, what steps have you taken to simplify your life that you can offer as a tip in the comments. If you've enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, because it really just helps our channel and helps encourage more people to enjoy our content. If you're new to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell so that you know exactly when I upload videos, because I do it twice a week, on a Tuesday as well as a Thursday. Guys, it's been fun actually hanging out with you and making this video. I'm now going to go and take some time out and enjoy some more time with my family and enjoy this Sunday. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you again on our next video. Bye for now.